Hi, Kent. Interesting channel. I'll try to find the time to watch some of your readings. What are the paintings behind you? Hey, these are my grandmother's. You can see her art at the website madkeatley.com. That's madkeatley.com. Now let's read. It's Thanksgiving Day, November 27th, 1980. Got up at 8:30 this morning and had Cheerios for breakfast. Got dressed and went downstairs to complete bike and clean up, which I did. I helped a little for the feast today by vacuuming and cleaning the kitchen a little. I then did weights with Joe, Skimpy, before taking a bath. We had a very nice Thanksgiving Day meal. You know, all the food and mood. It was very relaxed and enjoyable. Definitely not like last year, thank goodness. One thing, though, is Dan wanted to watch his cartoon, so he didn't join us. I know, however, that was only his excuse so he wouldn't have to eat with us and be serious. I won't go into any explanations, but Dan has a real bad mental disposition. I'd like to see him change for everyone's benefit, especially his, although I don't care about him sometimes because he really bugs me. After the meal, I laid down because I really felt pregnant. I got in the mood for games afterward. So Joe and I played a couple games of Speed and Go Fish before we got the parents up from napping to play a game of Monopoly. That's what we did from 7 to 10 p.m. is laugh, yell, and argue over the game, which was good because we never done it before. At 9:15 I was out of the game, and at 10 is when my father finally cleaned up. I watched Cosmos until 11 and have been writing now till 11:37. Boy, I'm really specific, yeah? That show Cosmos is really where my thinking agrees. In quotes, our ancestors worshipped the sun and they were far from fools. It makes good sense to revere the sun because we are children of the stars. Lately I have, next day, November 28th, 1980. Lately I have been confused. I don't know what I can call it, but for now it is only indecision. I don't believe it is long term because if it continues, I will just absorb that confusion into myself and make it an everyday part of me. That's what I do a lot. Is it good or bad to do? There are the types of questions I often ask myself. As I talk about it, I understand it, and this is what I am coming up with now. I am understanding due to recognition, success, and goodness in others, that I am not, or haven't at least proved it, really a success at anything or a type of person I always picture myself to be. I have created this image through things like this. For example, I will now think I'm really great, which I am doing this second even as I write this line, for putting this good, or at least I believe it is, description of myself. But look at me now compared to the world. I'm not all that great. Do I use negative power and think negative often? Negative includes all that which hurts and makes bad. All the time. Do I constantly push myself to do many constructive things? Seldom. Do I go out of my way to see the good in people and think of how I can make their day less negative? Sometimes. Have I started my Space Invader project? No. So why do I always hold myself better than everyone else? I have to give reason to do this, but I haven't been making reasons. What can I do? Do it. My confusion I have been getting comes from lack of pride, honest pride, and complacency. My confusion I have been experiencing comes from the clash of reality against what I believe. I have no more to write down because any more thinking I do on this will have to be strictly in my head to do me any good. This symbol means I will stop writing of an idea as so I can spend the thought usage in my head instead of on the paper. Will I be something great? Today I got up at around 10:30, ate breakfast, apple pie, cake, milk. Washed my hair because Sue told Joe and I to get dressed to go into Hudson. So the day until 4 was spent doing things in Hudson like messing around in Barker's and James Way, waiting for Joe while he took his driver's permit. He failed. Waiting for Joe to get his hair cut and waiting until the time of Joe's appointment. The only thing I bought today was a stereo antenna filter. So when we get home, I cleaned my room from the other day when I tore everything apart. Playing Life with the whole family and then watching some show about the good old days while I ate some turkey and sandwiches. Oh yeah, my father and I went downstairs because he wanted to show me how to run the snowblower he just finished fixing up. I'm proud of him and like to see him do stuff like he likes. I get that from him. It's the way he is to me. November 29th, 1980. I heard two phrases today that I liked and still do. One I heard in a song on the radio, and it said, "Looking better than a body has a right to." And the other was on a TV show, "Despite what you think of me, I'm still only human." The first phrase I will probably use when describing that girl that especially appeals to me, meaning who I think is luscious. And the second I'll use when joking around with someone as I brag. I got up later than I wanted to today, 11. So after I did, I sat at the table for a while with the parents before I decided to make poached eggs. I had to hear my father harping on me about sleeping so late. "Sleep my life away," he says. I finished up connecting my stereo and straightened up a little bit in my room. I washed some clothes, some dishes. I worked on my social study essays for the most part today. They're done. It's just I have to recopy them. I wrote a good one about the role of religion today. Of course, I stated that its role is dissipating. I looked a little in the JCPenney catalog. They do have some nice models in that book. It's funny how I and Joe ogle at the models for the bras. Don't laugh. They were luscious. I then stretched out in my room as it got dark, then went downstairs and lifted. I came up shaking because I had worked a little too hard. I talked with the parents a while, but then watched TV until 11. I took a bath, then put on my clean sheets on my bed that I washed today. Now I'm in bed writing. Now I'm going to shut off the light. The light is off and I can't see what and where I'm writing good night. Joe got his pictures back and something showed me them. I wasn't duplicates. I want the duplicates for myself. Little narcissist, I swear. November 30th, 1980. I'm writing this entry during commercials of King Kong. It's my all-time favorite movie. I won't even describe the fantasy I fall into in watching and afterward. You know you don't have to explain it, Kent. You know who you are, and that's what really counts. This movie really shows how scummy man can be to the world he lives in. Got up at 10:30 this morning, had hot dogs, did dishes and cleaned kitchen with Joe. Talked with the parents at the table about project problems. Put some stuff up in the attic before helping the parents carry the dog house outside. I then rode Dan's bike around because it was such a good day today, 50 degrees. I then did all my homework and fixed Joe's headphones to use for this movie. Took my bath, etc., supper. The only thing else that happened, doesn't that sound like my day is boring? was Ellen's friend called me during King Kong, which pissed me off. She wanted to know a few things for Ellen and to say she said hi. She really wants a picture of me. I'll have to write her back. She says she hardly remembers what I look like. Makes me wonder what she's up to. I know she seems dizzy, but I'll still find out. Time to lose myself. December 1st, 1980. I know this is a different day and another day, but there is something I need to write about. This entry you just read was writing when I was watching the movie, so I didn't explain anything else. What I'm going to say is that of this utmost seriousness. I know a movie is just a movie and not real, but that doesn't make any difference when something seems real to you. Oh hell. I can't explain that, but what happened and will continue to happen is I became very involved in the show and made it a part of me. I could not stop crying, quietly and to myself, at the end of the show. I wasn't crying for the movie, but for the love I had fallen into with the actress who played Kong's bride and the whole idea behind the movie. No more explanations, but that film show is truly more to me than just a movie. It's my love, mystery, and emotional brought out. I do love life. She screamed for Jack to come to her as the reporters crammed up to her and pushed her around before Kong's dead body. He was right. He couldn't look at her because of the beast's death. Oh, no more writing. Did I make the point? This year has one more month to live. I just pretty much spent my feelings writing up on the preceding page. One other comment tonight that is important now and will be again for the same reason if I happen to glance at this section in reviews before writing on. I looked at a couple of entries in the beginning of this log book and started to come up with tons of ideas to use, by comparison, on how to write my creative and informatively. Those ideas I write I won't use now except for the one where I thought, why don't I explain what I have learned to do, which is look at old entries to spark great ideas for present entries. That works by the old trick, study something you've done and improve on it. That's my thright of the day. Now for a brief paragraph on the day. I wonder if it's important to put the events down. The only way to find out is to do it and then wait a while and read back on it to see if it was worth it. Anyway, can't seem to get through all the thoughts. I feel like writing tons, but can't. Got home from school, ate breakfast, spied on dogs and played with them, talked with Joe, listened to music as I stretched out, lifted weights, did homework, ate supper, did homework, and heated room with blow dryer. Had peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, mashed some pimples, listened to Joe on phone, went to bed. After writing notes, can you read this? I made sure you could read that. I want to think of ways to say I have lots to say, want to say it, but don't have time and patience. I should in a few short words. Good, the ideas come out, but the name doesn't go down. Oh, what am I saying? Good night. Yeah, what are you saying? Wow, okay. So, I'm 2 months into journal writing. I'm 15 years old, and I'm struggling with what are the rules of journal writing. Here's a question to ask yourself. Do you put down the daily events, the humdrum day-to-days? Is that worth recording in your journal? The answer is yes, of course. Do it because it provides context to what's going on. If you didn't put it down and you went back and read just the inner monologues that you have with yourself, then you're going to get frustrated because you're not going to know what was going on at the time. So, journals are not just a log of the day's events. They're interpretations of those events. My style wasn't really to interpret the specific events. My thought processes were very internalized, just completely kind of circular in my head. It's very annoying. But going back to what I said in my earlier episodes, when you journal, you should journal by hand, in pencil. And the slow pace with which you write lets the brain get ahead of what you're writing. And I remember now distinctly early days of writing. Even when I journal right now, it's like I can't write as fast as the thoughts are coming through. Later on in the 2000s and beyond, I journaled by typing, and that was a little better for keeping the writing up to speed with the thinking. But in pencil writing, it was always really difficult, and that's why I think there's just so much parenthesis within parenthesis. I mean, a new thought would be coming into my head as I'm barely getting this current thought out, and all I'm talking about is I have a thought that I'm thoughting about, blah, 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 and it that gets better. That's all I can say. And it took me a long time. I don't know when we're going to get to the point where you start to see some maturity in the journal writing, but you do get to a point where you just shut up and you say what's important to say. And that's all I have to say. Bye.